and welcome to Food 101. People. Let's talk about food. Today I have my special guest. He is the founder of CEO of 5 Steps a Day, no other than Dr. Len Lopez.
Hey, Daniel.
Welcome, Dr. Len. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me on your show again. As you said, I'm Dr. Len Lopez, and probably for the last 25 years, I've kind of made my name helping people learn how to eat right and train smart. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. Especially in the last couple of years, I've kind of evolved to maybe try to help people just track how not just how they're feeding their body, but how they're feeding their mind and spirit. And so I created a little app called 5 Steps a Day. It's a simple way to track how well you're feeding body, mind, and spirit. So hopefully today we can talk a little bit about the importance of not just eating, guys, because it's not just what you eat. The real question is, are you digesting and absorbing the food? And I say that because over the years, I've had so many people struggling with digestive issues. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's kind of a minor irritation. But and they don't wait until the hormones get out of balance. You know, they get some kind of a chronic ailment or some other kind of disease that they really don't like and everything. But they don't do anything about the digestive issues that are really the root cause, kind of like the first domino that falls, that could be a cause of some of the health complaints that somebody could be dealing with right now.
Dr. Len, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And tell us, what are the major cause of indigestion in our stomach?
Well, it's really a two-part. It's a two-part answer. Or I always tell everybody, are all the digestive issues, whether it's bloating, gas, indigestion, diarrhea, is it because what you ate or how you ate? Meaning, are you eating all the wrong foods, or are you eating on the go, on the run, in the car, in a hurry? Because maybe you're eating the right foods, and I say that because a lot of the patients over the years I work with, they're eating all the right foods, they're doing it right, but they're eating always on the go, in the on the run, in the car, in a hurry. And I just have to stress with your audience here is that if you the only thing you should feel after you finish eating is less hungry. If you get bloated, gassy, burpy, sneezy, poopy, that's a sign your body didn't dig what you fed it. And that's why it's just kind of erupting inside your body. And if it's erupting inside your body, you're really not going to do a good job of extracting all those important nutrients that are going to help strengthen and protect your body. So, again, it's not just what you ate, but how you're eating. And again, that's the part that unfortunately there's not a simple pill you can give somebody to teach them how to sit, eat, and relax. But that is such a crucial part of just overall health and wellness.
Sit and relax. So, Dr. Len, what are the good food for our stomach that does not create indigestion?
Well, I always tell everybody the good food for your stomach is first off something that's not going to irritate your stomach. And here's what I tell everybody, especially right now, because I know there's a lot of people who are eating more protein, right? Because
Mhm.
protein is there's a lot of great benefits with protein. Yes, it's the source, the building blocks of adding lean muscle to your body. But protein also, you need hydrochloric acid. You need acid to break down protein. And if you're taking acid blockers or taking antacid because you think that's what's causing your irritation, and you're also eating protein, you don't break protein down without acid. And this is the common headache I see so often with patients is that they're wolfing down more protein in hopes that it's going to help improve their metabolism and improve their body's ability to burn fat, which it will. but at the expense of you're not breaking down that protein properly. And what's really bad about protein, if you don't digest it, Daniel, and I'm sure a lot of your audience are very well of the good and bad bacteria that we always talk about that's in your intestine, kind of the lower GI. But in the upper GI in your stomach, if you're eating a meal and you're not breaking down that protein because you're eating on the go, on the run in the car, that protein is going to run through your small intestine, large intestine, and it's going to be rotting and putrefying and just emitting all that dead stuff into your lower bowels, and that's what further complicates people's health issues. And again, people are good at dealing with it because it's kind of a minor irritation. I feel a little bloated, I feel a little gassy, I need to run to the restroom. But unfortunately, as I said, it's that very first domino for a lot of health issues, that their digestive issue is not working properly. And because of that, they're not getting the nutrients they need to help overcome whatever malady that they're struggling with.
Dr. Lun, we often think of indigestions as just a heartburn, but it's a complex suite of a symptoms. What is actually happening inside our digestive tract when we're experiencing the full bloated, uncomfortable feeling?
Okay, that's a great question. And here's the simple way of looking at it. When you eat your food, right? Or let me say it this way: your body has two systems. One's called the fight or flight system. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that one. The other one's called the resting digesting system. Now, the fight or flight system they're kind of like a teeter totter. When one is on, the other one is kind of turned down or turned off, and then vice versa. When you are ready for bedtime, ready to go to bed at night, your fight or flight system isn't turned on. And then when you're out there racing to get to the office, racing to get to work, whatever that has you moving, going, and hustling, that turns on in your digestive system. They can't be both on. As I said, they're like a teeter totter. And so if one is on, the other one is down. And what's important to understand about eating is that so many people are eating in the car, on the go, in the run, in a hurry, which means if you're eating like that, guy, you're more than likely your fight or flight system is elevated somewhat, which means it's turning down your digestive system. And here's what you need to understand about your digestive system: when you put food in your mouth, your body is getting signals to send the appropriate acid, the appropriate enzyme to break down that food. But if you're eating on the go, on the run, in the car, your fight or flight system is going to dominate over your resting digesting system. And let me add one thing. I know we call it the resting digesting system, but it really should be the resting digesting hormonal system, because your hormones don't really work in unison and balance when you're like this, when you're running from that very saber-toothed tiger. But just saying fight or flight, two words, versus resting, digesting, hormonal, doesn't flow off the tongue as easily. So just remember, when it's time to eat, sit, eat, and relax. And I always say this because for thousands of years we've known that when it's time to eat, everybody sits, eat, and relax. Watch any of the old classic movies like Gladiator or Braveheart. You don't see them racing down on their horse, swinging a sword in one hand and a turkey leg in the other, trying to eat while they're going to work. But that's how a lot of people are living their lives today. And so it's just short circuiting or turning down your digestive system. So even though you're eating good food, okay, you may be eating one of the best sports bars or protein bars or best meal, best dinner, best steak out there, best fajita. We're going to talk about that, whatever that is. But if you're eating it on the go, on the run, in the car, in a hurry, there's a good chance you're not going to make the necessary acids to break down the protein to get the proper absorption, and you're going to start creating this upper GI problem, which if you do that long enough, you'll also create a lower GI problem also.
Interesting facts, Dr. Len. And how significant a role do stress and anxiety play in triggering a worsening indigestion? What is the psychological link between stressful day and upset stomach?
Well, that's another component of it. We talked about the fight or flight. It's called the sympathetic system. But when you're under stress, and even driving to, if you're hustling to get the kids up in the morning, get to the office, fight through traffic, get to lunch hour quick enough because you only have 30 to 45 minutes to hustle back in traffic and everything. That's, you may not feel really stressed. You're just hustling. But the fact that you're trying to hustle from A to B to C, it's causing your adrenal glands to pump out more cortisol, more norepinephrine, some of their stress hormones. And when you start pumping that cortisol out, it's shutting down your resting, digesting system. So you're not going to get the same benefits or the benefits you're looking, even though you may have eaten the perfect meal, you're eating it under adverse circumstances, and you're not going to get the benefit that you would like or think about it.
Interesting indeed, Dr. Lan.
Hey,
And
Daniel, if I can add one other thing here,
yes,
because I don't want people to think that you can't eat on the go, on the run in the car. I do that because I'll travel one day. If
12,
I'm
yeah.
traveling, I'm hustling here and there. And the one thing I tell my patients is just one of the staples I think for that so many people, or one of the things that I seem to recommend with so many patients, because all the patients in my background that I've seen, more than 90% of them, or let me say this, those that are not complaining about sports injuries, the people that are not complaining about sports injuries, those that are complaining about headache, fatigue, irritability, hormonal imbalances, things like that, what they need to do to make sure they're getting proper utilization of their foods, because they could be eating on the run, on the car, in the car all the time, digestive enzymes. And it's probably one of the most number one thing I recommend with patients. And you can find them pretty much anywhere out there. But a good digestive enzyme is just providing the enzyme. And you want one with acid if you're eating protein. Okay. But so those enzymes are well, just provide to your body, your stomach, the stuff that you're not providing because you're eating on the go, on the run, in the car. So if you're eating at home, you're relaxing with your family, enjoying time, watching TV, whatever it is, you don't need those digestive enzymes. But if you're eating on the go, on the run, in a hurry, in the car, you're not allowing your digestive system to kick on. So you need to support it. You need to supplement it. And those occasions, a good digestive enzyme could be very, very helpful.
Dr. Lan, beyond food, what is the surprising lifestyle habit that can dramatically contribute to indigestion that most people don't consider?
Well, another one, kind of staying in that same attitude, is drinking too much liquid. So
Mm,
often people, if you drink liquid, a lot of liquid, and I'm not saying don't drink anything, but 4 to 6 or 8 ounces of something is fine. But when you drink cold liquid, and I'm just as guilty at times having a cold refreshment, something made with hops and barley in there. But if I'm having a cold drink, but if you keep putting so much cold fluid in your system, what it does, it causes the internal mechanism, your pancreas and everything, your stomach, to kind of constrict a little bit, so you're not going to produce as much of those enzymes and acid. But on top of that, Daniel, here's the thing, because you'll go to a restaurant or somewhere to eat and everything, and you may order like a soft drink or an iced tea, and it's like 60 ounces of liquid. Well, when you ate whatever the 8 to 12 ounces of beef and vegetables and stuff like that, and then your body's going to contribute the necessary enzymes and acid to break it down. But then you're going to dilute that concentration because you're going to put 32 ounces of liquid in there. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like doing your laundry. Do you have enough soap in there for the amount of clothes and water you're going to put in there? And so when you eat, if you dilute the content in your stomach because you drank so much water, so much tea, it's going to dilute the concentration of the enzymes, and thus the ability for it to break down your food to get better, proper nutrition and absorption of the nutrients that are in your food.
So, Dr. Len, what are the specific symptoms of indigestion that should prompt someone to immediately see a doctor?
Well, I always think, I always tell everybody, are we dealing with an upper GI problem, a lower GI problem, or both? Which is very common. Upper GI problems are people that might get that bloated, burning feeling in like the first 30 minutes of eating. If that's happening to you, that's kind of a signal letting us know that you could be dealing with an upper GI problem, meaning you're not making enough acid to break down your food, and thus you're feeling the irritation in your tummy in the first 30 minutes of it to suggest it's an upper GI problem. Now, if it's a lower GI problem, you might start getting symptoms, 90 minutes later. About an hour and a half later, you get bloated, you get gassy, you need to run to the restroom, you get poopy and stuff like that. And so, if that's happening, if you're good for the first 90 minutes after you eat, but then you start feeling these symptoms, that could be a sign that you're dealing with a lower GI problem.
Interesting to know, Dr. Lan. How can keeping a simple food and symptom journal be the most powerful first step someone to takes in identifying their unique triggers?
Well, what you can do when you start keeping a food journal, it'll let you know. Are you One thing I'll ask you to write is that, hey, did I notice irritation in the first 30 minutes of my meal, or did it happen 90 minutes later, to help me figure out where is it, upper or lower GI? And then I'll also look at, what did you eat? Because food combining, and I know we talked about this earlier before we came on the air, food combining is so critical because, as I always like to say, think of food combining like combining people. There's just some people that are not meant to go with certain people, right? And there's some foods that just don't combine well. And let me further on that comment there. It's kind of like if you have a sprained ankle, right? If your tummy's all goofy and irritated and bloated and various symptoms like that, it's kind of like to think of it like a sprained ankle. You might not be able to run on a sprained ankle, but you can still walk. And for the same token, if your digestive system is all irritated and wonky on you, maybe if you ate a meal that is combined more appropriately, as opposed to just having fajitas, beans and rice, the classic steak and baked potato, chicken and rice, because when you combine a protein with a starchy food, it doesn't combine very well. It's harder for your body to digest. But if you take that same protein and combine it with maybe a fibrous vegetable, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, avocados, things like that, a good salad, it combines better. But when you combine a starchy carbohydrate with the protein, it doesn't combine very well. So, food combining is just always one of the first steps we do with people when we try to help them recover from any of the digestive dilemmas that are out there. But please remember, there's not a pill anybody can give you that's going to make you sit, eat, and relax. As I said, we've been doing that for thousands of years. You have to learn how to make sure you're going to sit, eat, and relax to allow your digestive system to do its job. And if you're not going to that time, and believe me, I'm guilty of doing that as well, that's when I use digestive enzymes to help make sure that I'm contributing the necessary enzymes and the necessary acids to break down the food, because my body is not going to do it because I'm on the go, I'm on the run, I'm in the car.
And Dr. Lan, before we continue our discussion for today, can you please tell us what is the 5 steps a day?
Uh, Well, I appreciate that the question. And 5 steps is something I created because, as I said, for the first 25 years, I was helping people learn how to eat right and train smart. And I was being interviewed for another magazine one day, and I shared with them 5 steps a day because they wanted to do a story on body, mind, and spirit. And it's something I created years ago, and it's just a simple way to track how you feed your body, how you feed your mind, how you feed your spirit. I think a lot of people are real familiar with tracking their steps, right? Their physical steps are closing their rings on their watch to make sure they did something physical. But what are you doing for your mind? What are you doing for your spirit? 5 steps that takes you 2 minutes. It's just a to-do list. Did I eat right? Did I do anything physical? Did I think better today? Did I give myself some positive words of confidence for myself and build myself up? Or did you eat the junky mental food? Because we've always heard you are what you eat. Also true, you are what you think. And so what kind of thoughts are you feeding your body? And at nighttime when you go to bed, do you fall asleep and dream about tomorrow and think where you want to be tomorrow, next week, next month, 5 years from down the road? I mean, so yeah, or do you just fall asleep with the remote control in your hand, or worse, your cell phone? And then, lastly, your spirit. Are you doing anything to strengthen your spiritual muscles? Because to neglect one or two of these aspects of your life, your body, your mind, or your spirit, it's kind of like that three-legged stool. If you have three legs and they're about the same length, there's always some great balance there. But if one leg is really strong and the other two are weak and flimsy, or one of them is weak and flimsy, you're still not going to get that balance. So I encourage you, go check out 5 Steps a Day. It's a free app you can download. It'll just help you track how you're feeding body, mind, and spirit. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will have the additional to-do list on there, as well as it having to be a journal, online journal for you as well. So thank you for asking, Daniel.
Yes, indeed. And Dr. Lan, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in it for season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Len, tell us, is it a goal to never experience indigestion again, or is it about building resilience of knowing how to manage it effectively when it does happen?
Well, it should be a goal because, as I said earlier, the only thing you should, I call it eat right and train smart. And eat right, there's three principles. And the first principle of eat right is do no harm to your tummy. Just because you ate it doesn't mean you absorbed it, doesn't mean you broke it down. You have to, as I said, the only thing you should feel after eating is less hungry. If you're bloated, gassy, poopy, sleepy, or sneezy, that's a sign that your body didn't dig what you fed it. And this could be the first domino that starts falling, that's going to start affecting your health. And then, unfortunately, what I've seen over the years is that most of my patients that come in with some of these chronic ailments and chronic diseases that we've helped them with, that was kind of a nuisance for them, having the indigestion. They were more concerned about their Crohn's or lupus, what their osteoporosis or anything else they were concerned about, because that was more fearful. Being bloated, being gassy or poopy was kind of a nuisance for some people, but it really is that first domino that needs to be addressed, because if you're not absorbing the food, are if you're taking the best vitamins and the best supplements and having the best meal, but every time you eat it, you get bloated and gassy. I mean, you're not getting the real value out of it. It's like using really cheap wood to build your house instead of some of the better wood that give you that great foundation.
Dr. Land, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, and
Well,
hoping
thank
and
you.
yes, and hoping for more 5 steps to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, your anything that you want to promote?
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, if you're struggling, as I would say, if you're caught somewhere in this vicious cycle, whatever that cycle is, whether it be the job not going, the relationship not going the way you wanted to, your advancement in career, your spiritual wants, your health, check out 5 Steps a Day. Hopefully, by just tracking how you feed your body, how you feed your mind, how you feed your spirit, can help move you from that vicious cycle into that virtuous circle. 5 Steps a Day. Check it out. And in the next couple of weeks, we should have a to-do list to go with it to help it out as well. It's just the journal that goes with it too. Thank you so much, Daniel.
You're most welcome, Dr. Len. Yes, people, let's support Dr. Len Lopez because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering 5 steps a day to come. So, Dr. Len, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.